As the founders of Surefoot, Bob and Russ Shea are obsessed with creating the perfect ski boot for you because they know that a properly fitted custom ski boot will make you a better skier, whatever level you're at. Surefoot, better fitting, better skiing.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Freeride Guide. We have a special, slightly different, really exciting episode today. So the FWT is done for the season. We just did our full recap, and now we're shifting on to natural selection ski. Why ski? Well, because it's brand new, and Derek and I are skiers. It's kind of a skiing-focused free ride event show. We're going to do our best to expand to accommodate our snowboarding friends. But for right now, we're doing what we know. So before we get into this special episode, we want to make sure you are following the Freeride Guide wherever you are listening or watching to it. We're on YouTube. It's on the Low Pressure Podcast YouTube channel. You can just find the playlist really easily and listen on any of the podcast apps that you have or listen to. Give us a 5-star review if you think we're worthy. We'd really appreciate it. The Freeride Guide is here, and it exists because of a great sponsor called Surefoot Skiing. So big thanks to Surefoot Custom Ski Boots, fitting you for Surefoot custom heated liners and custom orthotics. If you saw the Freeride World Tour wrap-up episode, you will have seen that we were sitting in the Whistler Surefoot store right in front of the boot wall. Ski boots are a long-term investment in your skiing experience, and Surefoot is here to educate your decision. It's true. You got to know what you're doing. So don't just take my word for it. Come and experience what you've been missing. Surefoot has 29 locations across the US, Canada, and Europe. So visit surefoot.com to find the location nearest you so you can ski the Surefoot difference. I have them. I've been skiing them for many, many years, and I am very, very grateful. So, as I said, Natural Selection Ski, the Yeti Natural Selection Ski, is set to premiere on Red Bull TV on April 17th, which is in just a few days by the time this is released, making it the first ever ski competition for Natural Selection. So, it's going to be, well, it happened already. They're putting all the special sauce onto the edit as we speak. It went down deep in the Alaskan range, and the competition will showcase some of the world's most dynamic and talented skiers. If you've seen the lineup, you will know that it is absolutely cuckoo nanners, bananas, bonkers, that lineup. And we are here today with a legendary skier himself, the event director of NST Ski, Mr. Mike Douglas. Hello, Mike.
How you doing, Mark?
I'm fantastic, Mike. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
So you're back. You rested. It looked like a pretty spectacular time up there on the glacier.
It was, I think there's a lot of expectation that comes into any trip to a place like Alaska where, it's when it's on, it's the best of the best. And I hadn't been up there for quite a few years. So for me, it was like kind of felt fresh again. And I have to say it didn't disappoint. Like every day I saw or did something that just kind of blew my mind in its own way. And it's one for the books. That's for sure.
All right. So I want to get into the where, what, when, why, and hows. So basically, where is this? Actually, I want to get into the why. So why now? First of all, you obviously the event director, you know a bit of the history. Actually, let's get into the how first. So how did you get involved in this? Did Travis just call you out of the blue, or how did you get involved in the whole thing?
Yeah, kind of. Travis and the NST brass sort of gave me a call in the fall and said that they were going to put on a ski event, and that my name kept coming up, as to people that might be good at sort of leading something like this. And after a bit of conversation, I agreed to step in and help them out. So kind of all got going. I want to say it was October. We figured it out.
So what was that conversation like? It was just, hey, do we need to sell you? Like, hey, Mike, we have this idea, and did they have to sell you on it? And if they did, what was the selling pitch? How did they explain it to you?
There were a couple levels to it. One was that I sensed from Travis that skiing is something that's been on his mind for a while. I think he has a lot of respect for the top free skiers and what they've been able to do in the mountains, and the way, the tricks they can pull, and the speeds they go at, and all these kinds of things. So that level of respect came through right away from him. I would say one of the key selling points for me was the venue. Um, Travis had already figured out what he wanted the venue to be, and it was this spot in the Alaska Range that he's been to and ridden, and he's always thought that it would be the ultimate face for a competition like this, whether it's skiing or snowboarding. They've actually tried to use it as a snowboarding venue twice, and it didn't work out. So he's like, we're gonna give the skiers a shot at it. So to have sort of his ultimate venue as the first spot that the skiers get to try for NST was definitely a carrot hanging out there for me, because I'd never been into this part of the Alaska Range either. So this was something new for me as well.
So where was it? Where was that zone?
It's in the Tordrillos, south, kind of southwest of Denali, in just this magic mountain range, a venue called Priority One, which was first discovered and skied by a TGR crew back in, I think it was like
2007, it says here.
2007, yeah.
Jeremy Nobis.
Yeah, Nobis, I think, was the first one to ski it, and one of the, when you see photos of it, it's just already like, whoa, that's like a dream zone. But what you don't really get from just looking at the photos, at least the ones that I always see, is the scale. It's actually about double the size of what would be a traditional like film face. So this thing's massive, and I don't think it's actually made it into too many films because it is so big. Like, you can't show like minute and 20-second lines in ski films these days. Like, you get 20 or 30 seconds at the most. So it's big, and that's one of the things that made it so appealing.
Yeah, that's it looks amazing. For those of you that want, we're gonna throw a photo up on or the several photos that have been supplied to us on the Instagram page. Yeah, so it was originally written by Jeremy Nobis, and then Travis Rice wrote it for the fourth phase. And it looks nuts, absolutely nuts. Marcus Eder said it's like the most most amazing competition face he's ever seen. Like, Marcus Eder is one of the all-time legends of the Freeride World Tour. That guy can do things that very few riders can. So for him to say something like that is crazy to me. So let's talk about, the kind of the weather window, right? So you had this huge, actually, let's get into the athletes before we get into the weather window. You had 12 athletes, 4 for ski women and 8 for ski men. What was the process like of choosing those athletes? And were you like kind of leading that charge?
Yeah, so we have a selection advisory board for all things NST ski. People like Chris Ben Chetler, Marcus Eder was on it, Sammy Carlson. I'm putting myself on the spot here. Who else was on this thing? Michelle Parker, Christy Leskinen. Hope I'm not.
What was Pettit doing there? He was involved in some way, wasn't he?
Pettit was a judge. We brought him in as a judge. Yeah.
Right. So not only are you getting, I guess, the current rock stars, the all-stars, but you've also got the generation just ahead of him too, or even ahead of them. Like, so every single person involved in this is a big, big name. It's
I mean, the nice thing is, when I reached out to people to get involved and help in any way, there was a lot of interest. I mean, I think skiers, we've been watching natural selection from the sidelines since it started. And I remember watching that first event in Jackson Hole and just being like, oh, this looks so amazing. Like, I would love to see skiers on a venue like this. And I think what makes natural selection different than, say, the Freeride World Tour is that we take the best skiers and we put them on the best terrain, not necessarily the gnarliest terrain or the terrain that's available, you know, in an area or at a ski resort that wants to host. It's like Travis is out there scouring the earth looking for like what is the coolest terrain there is.
Right.
And that's, you know, and if that terrain doesn't exist, then they'll try and modify it and make it the best it can be. Like, you know, with the snowboard venue at Revelstoke this year had a whole bunch of modified features that they go in and work on in the summer. So it's kind of giving the best skiers the ultimate playground, and that's kind of what makes it special.
Right on. So we had a big fat list. I can kind of run through it right now. Is for women's ski, we had Manon Lowski from France. He was on the FWT last year. I think she was the first person in ski women category to attempt a double backflip in the Freeride World Tour. Michelle Parker, Maggie Voisin, Hedvig Vessel. And then in the men's field, Marcus Eder, Kai Jones, Sam Cooch, Craig Murray, Kai Peterson, Colby Stevenson, Parker White, and Max Palm. So some of the best riders who have established themselves as like some of the best riders of all time. Some of the best FWT riders kind of mixed in with that. So when you were putting together this list, was that in the back of your mind, you know, about, hey, have I seen them do a good Alaskan run? Have I seen them compete in a situation like this? What was kind of your criteria in choosing? Because there's still a handful of other riders that could easily slot into this list. What was kind of your criteria for picking them?
Yeah, I mean the list was it was tough to make. I mean, let's face it, there are so many talented skiers that could have been on the list. And there was much debate to get this list where it was. And there were a bunch of factors. For sure, experience was one of them. We wanted people that knew how to manage slough, that had shown that they can, you know, make it down big mountain terrain. Like we knew that the venue was real and that experience was going to count in the big terrain. But we also wanted those kind of skiers that brought that edge of excitement, that had maybe, you know, competed at one time in big mountains or on the Freeride World Tour, but were more focused on film. This was an opportunity to get them back in a competition arena. We wanted to make sure that it wasn't just, you know, the old established names, the veterans, but there was some fresh young talent in there as well. So there were a lot of factors that we looked at, and I can tell you that there was much deliberation, and there are a serious handful of really, really talented skiers that we all wish that could have been in on this thing. But the numbers were limited in this way because of how difficult it is to put an event on in this part of Alaska. I mean, we were air access only. We had to build a glacier camp. Just the logistics and the cost involved in getting everything set up at the level we wanted were huge. And so, you know, a lot of people are like, well, why was the list so small? And that's why. Like literally, I mean, we had 50 people out there, which was already way too many when you're trying to put all the pieces together. So
yeah, talk about this athletes village. It looked pretty wild. So you're based just kind of on the flats, just in the shadow of the venue. Like, were you able to see the venue every morning and all day while you're kind of waiting for it to go down?
yeah, so there was kind of 3 sets of accommodation. It's really hard to keep track, and even as someone who was like in charge of like coordinating it all, it's hard for me to keep track. So we had an ops crew that came out about 10 days before the event and started setting everything up, and that included the glacier camp, the setup for the athletes at Winter Lake Lodge with the 11 experience, and then we had a base kind of set up at Alyeska Resort in Girdwood. And so what we didn't want the athletes coming in and slow burning in a motel or something in Anchorage, or even just roasting on a glacier camp for that whole window of time. So what we did is we staged almost everybody in Alyeska so that they had, you know, a nice place to stay. They had the Nordic spa there. They had all these sorts of things that makes their life comfortable, but they could also go ski every day. And then once we saw that the weather window was opening, we flew everyone out into the field. So all the ops crew, the camera crew, the judges, you know, Tatum, who was on the microphone out there, they all flew out to the glacier camp, which was set up for 30 people. And then the athletes flew to Winter Lake Lodge, and they were based there, which is like an 18-minute flight from the venue.
So the athletes weren't staying in the alpine camp for the whole time.
No, they weren't. They actually didn't spend the night there. I mean, they spent some time there, scoping the venue, obviously competition day, but they were mostly either in Alyeska or at Winter Lake Lodge.
Oh, interesting. I was under the assumption that they were just kind of hanging out on the glacier, having like an actual like winter camp, summer camp.
Yeah, I mean that's what they did with the snowboard event last time. But one
Mhm.
thing they discovered is that for people like Travis Rice or someone like Marcus Ader, that's fine. He's got tons of winter camping experience. But for some of the younger athletes, especially, like some of them have never even camped before. And so we wanted to make sure that your first winter camping experience wasn't the night before this huge competition that you were expected to perform at your best. So we wanted to make it a little bit more comfortable for them. And, the people at 11 Experience offered up Winter Lake Lodge to us, which was just amazing.
Oh, very cool. Okay, so that's actually interesting to know. So they actually got a nice sleep and a nice comfy bed before they had to go and risk their lives for the benefit of the viewing public, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, so explain, I know that there are several different I guess competition styles through NST so far, with duels and the head-to-head. So can you explain what we're going to see in terms of the competition on the 17th?
Yeah, so the initial idea was to have the classic sort of NST duels where just people are pitted up against each other right out of the gate. But as we talked it through during the winter, and obviously with NST expanding into surf, bike, now snowboard and ski, we have a lot more competitions, and we're able to sort of analyze how things work, maybe from other sports, formats you see in other sports, and how can we adapt them. And the goal is to put the skiers, give them the best chance possible to show off what they can do on the best terrain possible. And so what we definitely didn't want to do is have people come out and just do one run. And so with this format, which was heats of 4, the top person in the first heat moves on the men's side automatically into semis, and the women's side automatically into finals. Then the 3 others go into another heat round. So top score once again moves on and gets a spot into semis and or finals. And then we started the duels once we got down to the semis for men's, the top 4 men, and then duels for the finals for women.
So most people get at least 2 runs, with the exception of the people who are eliminated in the first round.
No, everybody got at least 2 rounds.
Everyone gets 2 rounds. Okay, cool. That's really neat. So it's interesting to me to think about an Alaskan face like that, which when you see it on these, ski and snowboard films, it's just one person in the middle of the wilderness skiing the gnarliest thing ever. But to be able to watch a face like this just get ripped apart in a good way, I think is pretty cool. Can you tell me who won?
No, you're gonna have to watch.
Yeah.
Trust me, you don't want to know who won, because the excitement. I've actually watched the show a couple times already because I've been helping review it and stuff. And I have to say, like, the way it unfolds is so exciting because you don't know what's going to happen, and we didn't out there on the site, and it's like, after the heats we switch venues. So we used one half of the face for the heats and the other half of the face for semis and finals, and totally different terrain, stuff that no one had ever skied on before, slightly different aspects. So the snow changed. And it was just like, okay, well, what's going to happen? And I think that's the feeling that at least I have when I watch the show. And you don't know, you literally don't know until the last run comes down.
That's cool. So you may have just answered my question. So that's neat that they had to go on. I was just assuming same face, they just pick a line and then they maybe repeat the line. But you actually had sections per heat, like a heat 1 is on this zone, heat 2 is on this zone, heat 3 is on this zone. Is that basically what you're saying?
Yeah. So the heated heat rounds were in what we're calling P1 South and the semis and finals were on P1 North. So there's literally a line that like they actually is a little bit of overlap between the two because of just the way the terrain works. We have this zone called like Crossover Canyon, and they were allowed to go into that zone for both rounds. But essentially, for semis and finals, we had an untracked face again.
Very cool. And I guess you kind of answered my question, because I know, obviously, since you have this bit of time to kind of work on the production, work on the show, work on the final product, I was going to wonder if you adjusted who went in which heat to add to the suspense.
No, the heats play out in the start order.
It's chronological, that we're going to see it the same order that it happened.
Yeah.
Oh, okay then. Well, that's fantastic. So another question I have to ask you is, obviously the FWT, just as a reference point, has their own judging criteria. Apparently there's another specific judging criteria here as well for natural selection called Credo, based on creativity, risk, execution, difficulty, and overall flow, which is very similar to the other one, just very different names. Now, the judges you said were whom again? Can you give us a list of the judges?
Yeah, so our head judge was Dion Newport, Kiwi.
Yeah, Dion, longtime FWT judge, but he's also the man singularly responsible for all of the success every single New Zealand freerider has. He basically is New Zealand Freeride, so he is an absolute legend. Shout out to Dion Newport.
Yeah, absolutely. We knew we wanted experience at the top of the judges panel, just someone who knew how to do this. We had a small panel, only 3, and that was due to just the logistics of having more people out there. So we wanted to make sure we had someone really dialed, and that was Dion. And then, of course, we wanted some people that just had the respect in the sport. Sean Pettit obviously needs very little introduction. One of the greatest to ever do this kind of skiing, and very well respected across the board. And then we dug deep into the legend status on the women's side with Christy Leskinen, who has been on the freeride scene, since the 90s, and has kept her finger on the pulse of what's going on in the sport. So pretty solid judging crew.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm looking here. You've got Ed Lee, who's hosting, and then you've got Ben Chetler, Tanya Kivivic, and Abma involved as well as Tatum. How are they involved?
Yeah, so Tatum was our reporter on the scene. So she was there with us on the glacier, watching the comp, interviewing the athletes after their runs. And she brought a great perspective because not only was Tatum, the reporter, but she was also an alternate for the competition. So she was not too far from making it herself, and has that kind of experience and can kind of get into the athletes' heads. So she did a great job out on the glacier. And then in the announce booth, keep in mind, the announcers are going to be watching this live with everybody at home. They know nothing.
Oh,
they do not
for
know
real?
the results.
Okay, this is another.
Yeah, they have not seen anything. And so we've had some meetings with the announce team, and I've kind of given them like here's the weather conditions, here's what was challenging, here's how it unfolded, in terms of like heats and all this kind of stuff. But they don't know who won. They don't know who performed well or not well.
And they haven't seen any of the runs. That's cool. I like that. So that's going to be, it's going to add that element of freshness, I guess, like when you watch a live event. So it's going to have a little bit of, even though it has been done before, and they're going to be putting the secret sauce on the edit and the final product, we're still going to get that fresh vibe from the commentators.
Yeah, exactly. That's the goal.
Cool. Very, very cool. That's oh man, that's awesome. So another question. Did everybody get to go and do like some of these Ben Chetlers, and actually he's going to be on the mic, but like say Tatum, say yourself, did you guys get to go up and sample the goods yourself?
Well, one of my jobs was I was out there with the very first ops group.
Now,
and the snow
sorry,
safety team.
I'm going to interrupt you just a little bit before you get going. Um, did you mandate this as the event director? Did you put yourself in this position?
Well, I didn't push back. We'll say that when I
All
was
right.
asked to get out there early, and I remember, we flew into the venue and put the heli down on the glacier to take a look, and literally we went in beyond the doors, like it was literally waist deep. It was crazy, and so we were tiptoeing around. I was with a guide team from Pulside Adventure out of Alaska, and we got up and we dug some pits and started working on the slope, and sort of very gingerly got on slope, feeling it out. But it quickly became apparent that the snowpack was right side up, and we were able to sample the goods, we'll say, and it was actually totally amazing.
Amazing. How many runs did you get up there, Mikey?
I got enough runs that I was very stressed as the competition neared, because the tracks that we'd been leaving, that we were sure and certain were going to be gone with the snowfalls that were going to happen before the event, were still sort of visible in places when the comp started, which is crazy because it snowed about a meter between putting down those tracks and when the comp started. It was just like the no wind, just like absolute blower, just falling down from the heavens, like you dream of. And yeah, each day I'd look at the slope and go, oh man, you can still see the tracks. Like, what's up with that? Obviously, we
But
wanted it to look untracked.
that's one side of you. That's the event director side of you. But on the like lifetime skier in you, you're going like, I can still see my tracks.
Yes. Yeah, it was so cool to ski that face, and I did get several runs down it. So it was it was real fun to, I wasn't out there throwing down on it. We were doing snow safety for the most part, but I'd go to like some of the prominent features, some of the features you'll see them hunting it off, and just like, mind surf the idea of just coming in there with speed and pounding off that thing. I mean, there's some great jumps in the venue.
Amazing. Okay, so it's going to be this Thursday, I believe, is the 17th. The event is exclusively worldwide on Red Bull TV, starting at 12 p.m. noon, which is 3 p.m. Eastern, and 9 p.m. in Europe. Let's see. Yeti Natural Selection Ski premieres on Red Bull TV on the 17th of April. Tune in to see some of the world's top skiers compete in a groundbreaking format. You just talked about that. So yeah, I guess that's really all we got to look forward to is, like I said, 12 o'clock noon on Thursday, 3 o'clock Eastern time, and 9 in Europe on the 17th. I believe we are organizing some kind of a viewing gathering. Just stay tuned to the I guess look for smoke signals, I guess is what we'll have to say. We're trying to figure out where we're going to watch this here in Whistler. But I, for one, am super excited for it. We're going to do a full recap of this event like we've done for the rest of the season for the Freeride World Tour. Mike, have you got any final words or things that or things that you want to be thankful for, or you want to share? Any shout outs, what we should be looking for? Any final words?
Well, I'll say I have to say a huge shout out to Marcus Gogan for winning the Freeride World Tour this year. Hometown boy here in Whistler. We're very, very proud of him. Also to Wei Tian Ho, who picked up the Verbier Extreme win, which is huge, biggest event of the year on the Freeride World Tour. And I want to say, that we have a ton of respect for Freeride World Tour from the NST side, and this is a complimentary thing. I think. Freeride World Tour is a bit of a different game. This is a different game, but they're all awesome and great celebrations of our sport. And I think more than anything, when I think back of what NST is, in its inaugural year in skiing is it's a celebration of sport. The vibes from the athlete crew were so high. It did not feel like a contest. No one was vibing each other. It was like a big love fest. Seriously, it was one of the coolest things to be a part of, even just as an organizer, to have that group of talented skiers together and just feel that they were there representing the sport and wanted to put on a show for the people. And I think everyone's going to love it.
Right on. And then obviously this is a one-off for this year. Are there already plans in the works to move forward with this? I know we didn't mention it, but NST has brought in NST Bike, NST Surf. They've obviously got NST Snowboard. Now we have NST Ski. Are we going to be seeing more events like this next year? Are we going to be seeing multiple events? Is it going to be, an annual one-off? Do you have any information on that?
I don't have info on where it's heading, but based on how it's gone so far, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more NST Ski in the future.
Very exciting. All right. Well, you guys heard when it's happening. Make sure you're dialed in, set your clocks, and go check it out. Red Bull TV. Mike, thanks for coming on and giving us a little information about what could be one of the coolest things we'll see this year.
Thanks, Mark.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Make sure you are following us on the podcast app you're listening to. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Follow the Freeride Guide. Big thanks to Surefoot Skiing. With 29 locations across the U.S., Canada, and Europe, you are guaranteed to get your feet feeling good with some custom fitted boots, orthotics, liners. Visit surefoot.com to find the location nearest you. And I'm excited. Thanks, Mike. And the next time you hear from us, we will probably be talking about the event that was NST Ski. See you later, everybody.
This has been a Redmark Media production.